A lot of that pig iron comes from Brazil. That pig iron is smelted in Brazil in large charcoal kilns and camps. The charcoal is what is used to run the smelters in Brazil. That charcoal is cut by slaves in the Amazon rainforest and is turned into charcoal in large domed charcoal camps deep in the bush, in the jungle. So from the logger to the charcoal camp, to the pig iron, to the steel factory, to your car, the product chain gets to you. Who has a cell phone with you right now? I've heard if you go off tonight. I do. I don't have one of the better cell phones. I'm a little bit Neanderthal on that. But everyone's cell phone has a little bit of slavery in it. Everyone's laptop computer has a little bit of slavery in it, because the high-performance electronic alloys often rely on tungsten, tin, tantalum, and gold. And those are often mined in Africa, in particular the Democratic Republic of the Congo, which is the deadliest war so far in modern times. And though the slavery is what is at the root of that war. So we've been working with companies to try to root out the slavery in their supply chains. Boycotts, we don't believe, and because the people on the front lines are telling us that we shouldn't believe, boycotts, blanket boycotts aren't the answer. There are no alternatives to cars right now. There are no alternatives to cell phones or computers. There's not one brand that can claim it's completely slavery-free, really. And so until there is, with certification and actually going through the product supply chain, just saying, I'm not going to eat cocoa, I'm not going to use a computer, it actually hurts people who make their livelihoods from those mines that don't use slavery. So we're not in favor of big boycotts. We're in trying to get industry and community groups to try to solve the problem. Can you go to the next slide, please? So you can be the change because you're part of the problem. We're all just a few degrees of separation from someone who's in slavery or someone who has escaped from slavery. Here are a few things that we advise people can do. Resources, of course, like any human rights organization, that's always the #1 problem for any group to get their operations done. There's all sorts of ways to support groups that are working on slavery throughout the world. Things that come to us go into the field with the grassroots groups that do the frontline work, and we work all over the world. Spread the word. How many people here knew slavery really existed still before tonight? Wow, we're doing a good job. Well, spread the word, because I'll bet you don't have to go too far before you find someone who does not know this. Just like the stone that says peace. You could be that stone, the ripple in the pond, that spreads the words to your friends. The way you can do that is have a book club and look at some of the books that Free the Slaves puts out. And if your group looks into nonfiction books, get a book club night going. Get videos and play them. We've got lots of narrative videos that aren't educational like this, but are more, tell more of a human story. And show videos. Get your kids to write papers about slavery. Lincoln's birthday is coming up. Lincoln didn't do it, didn't end slavery. He outlawed it, but he didn't end slavery. Get your kids to write that in their papers. Spread the word. Help to spread it at all levels that you can do it. Learn more. We keep a blog and a website. I'll show you those in a moment at the end. You'd be surprised how much slavery is in the news almost every day around the world. There are developments going on. And it's a critical time right now. The economic argument is over. The moral argument is over. Nobody is arguing that our economy would collapse if we ended slave labor. Now that might have been the argument back before abolition in the United States, but nobody argues that today. Nobody's arguing that, oh, this is your cultural imperatives. This is the global north telling the global south what to do. No, every country around the world has outlawed slavery. So there's no one on the other side of this argument. It's just the will to do it and the resources to finally get it done. And we're at this tipping point right now. Yes, there's 27 million people in slavery, but that's only 1/10 of 1% of the world's population right now. So even though there are more slaves than ever before, there's actually the smallest percentage of the world's population in slavery than ever. We can, with that last push, we can do it. We can eradicate it. We can finally be the generation. 2,000 years, slavery's always been with us, but we have a chance to do something historic. I mean, on a big timeline, not just last 20, 30 years. I mean, on millennia, people have not been able to get rid of slavery, but we can do that. And by building community and learning more, if you do stuff, change your Facebook status, run a marathon and raise money for every mile you run. People have done that. Someone just had a benefit concert over the weekend. Beethoven and Chopin with pictures of slavery behind them, raised about $1,800. It was really something. And just speak up. What I mean by speaking up is if you're ever at a town hall meeting with your congressional representative, ask them if they've been supporting the legislation to end slavery in the United States. Write a letter to them. Let them know people care. Then they will know to take action. Next slide, please. So my wife was asking me today how long it would be before I got a picture of my baby into one of my presentations. He's 5 weeks old, so you're the first. And she noted that, of course, I would use the picture of him in a Moses basket, slavery. And the reason I used it, and for this point, is you might not know it from looking at little Connor there, but he's a descendant of slaves, because my wife is a descendant of slaves. She's from South Africa. She's of mixed race, and part of her ancestry is from Malaysia. And the Dutch East India Company brought slaves from Malaysia to Cape Town back in the 1600s and 1700s to help offload the ships and work on the docks. And people don't often know this, that there were slaves who were brought to Africa, not just slaves who were brought from Africa. So slavery is all around us, and the connecting the dots between us, it's not that hard to do. Just a few degrees of separation separates one of us from another. And it isn't just the right thing to do to end slavery because there's a moral case to do it. It's the right thing to do. It's actually the smart thing to do for you, for your children, and that's because we've witnessed something called the freedom dividend. When people are free, they get to keep the money they earn. Now maybe you've heard this old saying, we cheat the other guy and pass the savings on to you. You ever heard that one? I saw that in a bar in Alaska once. We cheat the other guy and pass the savings on you. Well, slaveholders, they cheat both sides. They don't pass the savings on to you. Do you think the price of gold, the price of cell phones is going to be higher if slavery was eradicated? It's not. The slave owners are just cheating the people and keeping the money and charging you the full price anyway. So getting rid of slavery is not going to change the price of cocoa or coffee or cotton or cars or Toyotas. So it's the smart thing to do because it doesn't hurt you financially and it helps the people throughout the world who were formerly enslaved. And they spend money on sending their kids to school. When those kids are educated, they have opportunities that they didn't have. Stable communities, peaceful communities, communities that don't have political instability are often communities that are prosperous communities. It's good for world peace, it's good for world prosperity. That's good for everyone. So slavery is not only the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. So thanks for inviting me very much. I'm really had a great time talking to you. Last slide. There's our web address. If you like, my colleague Tawny is in the back there. I'm actually going to have to take off in a moment because I have to go change a diaper. I got kind of good at it in the last yuppie diapers. Thank you.